What's up, everyone? It's been a long time since I've done real people with real stories. It's been a while. I've been busy with the house and everything. I had a consultation with Joe. Welcome, Joe.
Hi.
And yeah, she was letting me know what had happened from our first consultation to this one. And I was blown to, like, my head went and exploded. You guys stay tuned and listen to the entire story, okay? Because Joe is going to blow your freaking mind. Go for it, Joe.
Okay, hello everybody. Hi Stephanie, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with me. What I would like to say first of all is that I like to listen to loads of people off and on the internet, people who are more famous, people that are less famous, and I kind of like to absorb information. Then I take my time to digest it. Then I might go and read up about it. And then I might just experiment with that information. I believe that the best way to know if something's working is just experiment it on yourself. Obviously, you have to have a degree of confidence, knowledge, and bravery to do it. But if you experiment on yourself something, then you will know if it's working. Primarily also from a standpoint that everybody is different. We've got different lifestyle, different things affecting us every day in our life, different body. Anyway, some people may be on medication or having chronic health conditions or physical impediments. As for me, I'm 55 years young at the moment. I've just turned 55 a couple of weeks ago. I've struggled since my teenage years with all sorts of problems. The very obvious one was being overweight. So that was easy to point out because you could see I was overweight from a very early age. And then over the years that transpired into other issues. Yes, that was me back in, let me try and think. So that my son was 3 years old there. So that was 26 years ago. Do the maths. It was 26 years ago. So that was not 2000, that was 1998. That's it. That was me in 1998. At that stage in my life, I reached the point of desperation where not only I've been that obese for a few years, I use metric measures, but I used to be about 120 kilos in that photo. I would find any kind of way to lose weight, and that could be Weight Watchers, it could be going anorexic for 6 months, or calorie counting, you name it, I've tried it all. I would go down to about 75 kilos, and then I would spring back up to 120 within 6 months. And I've done that minimum 6 times, that 75 to 120. At that point in life, I was vegan.
Not to cut you off, but 126 kilos is 277 pounds. Continue.
At that point in life, when that photo was taken, my son was 3 years old, he's 29 now. I was vegan, and I came from a vegetarian background. I have to say now, no disrespect to anybody, but I constantly think about how bad it was that I was vegetarian when I was pregnant, and then vegan, and that I forced this kind of eating onto my young son. And every day I count my blessings that he's come out of it not as unhealthy as some other kids would have been. So he was lucky. And looking back, he had symptoms of deficiencies. He's not vegetarian anymore, but he was raised as a vegetarian child. So yeah, I was vegan and vegetarian there for about 8 years in total. I started having all sorts of problems. You can see from my face how ill and inflamed my body was. I started having thyroid problems, pernicious anemia, chronic tonsillitis. I had to have my tonsils removed because every other week I would have a very bad bout of tonsillitis. And then I was getting desperate about my weight. My mental health was never too bad. I did go in and out of mild depression. Thankfully, I've never been deeply depressed in my life. And then I started looking at other ways to lose weight. So from diet and medication, I started contemplating weight loss surgery. And I came to the conclusion that that was the only thing that I could do, or the only thing that I haven't tried to do. And I opted to go and have a gastric bypass. Um, at that stage in my life, I've never eaten the way that I do today. It's always been like standard diet with pasta, bread. I didn't have too much of a sweet tooth. Um, Salty stuff was the thing I always liked, like chips and, like I said, pizza and pasta and sandwiches and McDonald's burger or fries. Anyway, I went to the bypass. I had the bypass, gastric bypass done in 2008. It was October 2008. And when the doctors consent you for it, they'll tell you this is not reversible. Once you do it, there's no coming back. You will malabsorb nutrients. We don't know how much you will malabsorb, but you take these pills for life, your vitamins and minerals for life, and have your blood tests done every year and stay on top of it. And in my head, it was like, well, okay, there's going to be the nuisance of having to take in supplements every day, but it doesn't really sink into your head that it's not going to be as simple as that. It really will not be as simple as take your vitamins and you'll be fine. It's as simple as that maybe for a lot of people for the first 5 years, and then
Mm.
it gets more complicated. So Stephanie here on the screen has put down has searched for a diagram of what the bypass is like. If we look at that big diagram on the right, the stomach on the left is the normal stomach. You've got at the top your food pipe, your esophagus. Your food goes into your stomach and then comes out of the stomach through the pylorus and goes into the duodenum. The duodenum is very, very important. It's a very important of digestive. Every part of our digestive system is important, but the duodenum is very important because when food enters the duodenum, you send signals to your body and a cascade of hormones. I'm sorry, I don't remember all the hormones in there. Um, the work in tandem with your leptin and other hormones and tells you you're satiated, you're satisfied from your food. And
Mm.
your pancreas will get stimulated to secrete the lipase and the protease, the enzymes to break down fat and protein. And your gallbladder will release the bile to help you break down the fat. Then these enzymes and the bile help the breakdown process of the food even more. And then when the food carries on to the next bit, which is the jejunum, then your body is ready to absorb things. With the bypass, what they do is they cut off the top of your stomach, as you see on the right, and you end up with a small stomach pouch right at the top. It's about the size of an egg. Then the bottom part of the stomach will stay as it is, and it will still secrete small amounts of gastric juices that go into the duodenum, but the bottom part of the stomach and the duodenum remain totally empty of food. Food never enters that area ever again. Your
Mm.
food goes from the small stomach pouch directly into the duodenum, which is your second part of the small intestine. The first part is the duodenum. And then food will meet up with the juices, the bile and the lipase and protease from the duodenum down there where there is the junction below the stomach. So what happens here is that you will still secrete gastric juices, bile acids and protease and lipase, but
And just
because that part of your
just to stop you for a second, just so people
yeah.
understand, she's talking about bile acids. All these are all the digestive things that you need to break down food from the stomach. So your body's still producing protease, which is a protein digestive enzyme, and stomach acid. So continue, and lipase.
Yes, your body will still produce those things. However, because no food enters the area, it's not going to have the same stimulation
Mm.
as when it's got food going through it. So you will, I'm sure, I don't have any evidence of this, but by default, you're going to I would imagine you secrete less because you don't have that stimulation, the peristalsis of the food and all the chemical reactions that happen when food hits your stomach and your duodenum. And then those juices, the bile acids um, and the digestive enzyme from the pancreas will join the food further down the journey. And then if you think that your food goes into a little stomach pouch at the top, most of your gastric juices are produced in the bottom 2/3 of your stomach. So you will have low stomach acid. You will always have low stomach acid as a bypass patient. You might adapt a little bit, but you will never be as having as much stomach acid as somebody who doesn't use just the top part of the stomach.
Mm.
So anyway, that's what the surgery does. And I thought I was relatively okay for a few years, for a good maybe 6 or 7 years after the operation. I could barely tell that I had the operation. I could actually eat a full meal. I would never had a restriction from the operation. Not everybody gets it. So I could eat a full meal. In the early days, I was getting what they call dumping syndrome from eating carbohydrates, because at that stage I was eating carbohydrates and I was having an ice cream if I wanted to, and a latte, Starbucks, and all this stuff I used to have.
And she's in the
But what
UK,
happened?
people, my people. You're in the UK. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in the UK. So when you eat carbohydrates with this kind of setup, you can get dumping syndrome, which means you get like a reactive hypoglycemia after eating sugars and carbohydrates. You get the spike of glucose in your blood, and then it dives quite deeply and sharply after eating, and then you can get diarrhea. You become lethargic. You've got to lie down. There's no energy. It's mostly from carbohydrates, the dumping syndrome. But
Mm.
as I found out later on in my journey, I was getting it from the fat as well.
Mm.
So you can get it from fat as well. So anyway, the bypass wasn't helping me to lose the weight. I lost a little bit of weight from 120 kg. I went down to about 82 kg with the bypass. And then I was getting frustrated again, not just about the weight loss, but about the dumping syndrome, brain fog. My thyroid by that stage was wrong, and I was on thyroid medication. I was on T3 only, Cytomel for the American audience. And I started having diarrhea, chronic diarrhea. Oh, this was before going carnivore, sorry. So I started to try and find out what's going on with me. Why have I got brain fog? Why am I always cold? Why is my hair falling out? Why have I got paresthesia, tingling and numbing sensation of the hands and the feet? Why am I getting always the diarrhea? And I started trying to learn about my health and how to improve it. And I've come across a private doctor. I don't want to name anyone on here today, but I came across a private doctor here in the UK. And she came with very good recommendations from other people. Originally, this was about the thyroid, healing my thyroid. And I went under her care. And the first thing that she said to me, and this was in 2012, she said, Joe, the first thing you have to do is to go on a Stone Age diet, the paleo diet. That was her view back then, 12 years ago.
Mm.
And I looked at her and I said, what is that? And I said, you've got to give up all the grains, all the sugars, all the fruit. You just have meat, vegetable, salad, and maybe occasionally some nuts. And that's it. And I looked at her and I said, are you effing crazy? I said to her, I'm half Italian. I was born with a drip of pizza and pasta in my arm. You don't want me to touch the stuff again? Yeah. Whatever, lady, I said to her. And she said to me, well, at least think about it. She said, yeah, I'll think about it. It's not going to happen, I said to her. But obviously, that thought stayed in my head. And I thought, all right, then I'll give it a go. And I would try, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, fall off the wagon, try again, fall off the wagon, and continue the process. I don't know how many times. And then I started learning about keto. So dip your toe into keto, fall off the wagon, go back, fall off the wagon. Then I found out about carnivore, and obviously the first thought I had, this is crazy. You can't be healthy not eating any vegetables or fruit. I mean, and I've got a bypass. Are you crazy? I already don't absorb things, and then not going to have any vegetables or fruit. And it's now, how can it work? But I was still curious because I've bumped into these online communities. I mean, back then it was the very early days of zeroing on health online. It was the group where I mean, I can say this. It's all known. I'm not saying anything secret. Kelly Hogan was in this group many years ago. I said, well, they seem to be fine. They seem not to suffer. And then I've learned about other approaches like the Paleomedicina in Hungary, healing people from illnesses and chronic diseases just with meat only. And I thought, right, well, it sounds like it can be done. So I started dipping I consulted with some health coaches and private doctors, mainly for confidence and reassurance, because when you're all alone, you sometimes are too scared to make that transition. So to be told by health professionals and health coaches, yes, you can do this. There is people that because of bypass or Crohn's disease, they've lost part of their colon, part of their bowel, and they're still healthy just on a carnivore or on a keto diet. So that gave me the confidence to experiment and into the keto carnivore. First carnivore, falling off the wagon several times, then going keto carnivore. So back in 2000 and so 2012. So 2012 was my transition into. I'm trying to think. 2008 was the bypass. 2012, I started transitioning over to the other side of eating meat and being keto. And coming to about 2018, yeah, I reached a point in my life that I was taking 33 medications a day. It wasn't 33 different medications, but it was, I don't know, 10 medications, but because I had to take it several times a day, I was on thyroid medication that was cytomel only, and I was on a huge dose of cytomel, 180 micrograms a day, and most normal people have like 60 micrograms a day. So I was on cytomel, I was on vitamins, I was on daily vitamin B12 injections. I was on Imodium, that's to stop your diarrhea. What's it called again in medical terms?
It's a lot of people know Imodium here.
Yeah.
It's in the
I had
pharmacy.
chronic diarrhea to a point that I was almost incontinent by how bad the diarrhea was. So I was scared to go out, and I was working full time. So you go to work scared of being incontinent at work. So you don't want to eat anymore. But I went into a phase of, under the guidance of some doctors, I went on the fully keto carnivore in 2020. And that was observing a very high fat to meat ratio.
Did you had your bypass by then? By
Sorry?
2020, you had your bypass in 20. You were.
Yes, the bypass was in 2008. So in 2020,
okay.
I went keto carnivore, and it was high fat carnivore, moderate protein. So I was asked to eat around 60 grams of protein a day, but I would have to have, so in grams, that would equate to about 300 grams, which is about 10 ounces of meat a day. And then I would have to add animal fat on top of that. And the animal fat had to be minimum 150 grams. So that's 5 ounces, I think. Yeah. Minimum 5 ounces of animal fat.
Now for the people
with the meat.
She's talking about grams in weight. So just you guys get confused.
So now an ounce, it's 28 grams. I round it up to 30 just to make life easy. Yeah. So it would be about like I said, 10 ounces of meat a day and 5 ounces of added animal fat on top of those 10 ounces of meat. That's what I was asked to eat every day. As a result of that, I went into deep, stable ketosis. And I've stopped all my medications under medical supervisions, but I stopped everything, thyroid, everything. However, I had the side effect of chronic diarrhea and constant hunger. I was always hungry. It was real hunger. It wasn't head hunger. I didn't want to go and eat sweets or rubbish food. It was the real hunger that you feel the sensation around your belly button, like something, it's empty and it's asking to be filled. Um, I couldn't live with the diarrhea. I've been through that for years with the bypass. And I thought, so I fell off that wagon of the high fat carnivore train. And I started reintroducing things out of desperation because of the bypass. And over the last 4 years, I've been tweaking things, constantly trying to find out how can I stop my diarrhea and be in ketosis, and how can I improve my energy. And my thyroid was still not optimal. I can live without medication, but it's not optimal. I still get the fatigue and the water retention and the puffiness from the thyroid.
And mind you guys, this is all while being a gastric bypass, that drawing that
The gastric bypass.
Yeah, she's going through all these symptoms and things, trying to struggle with having this bypass. Continue.
So I've been trying to tweak things because I was thinking, how come everybody out there can be so successful? Well, everybody, so many people can be so successful on carnivore or keto carnivore. And I've been at this for 10 years and I still can't get it right. Well, I almost got it right. I came off all my medication. Most of my symptoms have gone. I'm healthier and better now than I was on the medication. So I've improved a lot, don't get me wrong. My weight has been stable. I've gone down to 60 kilos, whatever that is in pounds, 122 pounds, maybe 125 pounds. But I still struggle with chronic diarrhea and constant hunger. I think that can't be psychological anymore. So I've been tweaking things. If I up the fat, my hunger would start to go away and my energy would get better, but my diarrhea was getting worse. Up to the point of like, I need to go now and I need to go now. If I go 1 minute later, it's in my pants. And again, I can't live with that situation because I work full time. So then I said, fine. It took me 4 years to suss out the increase in the fat was something that my body wasn't accepting. I tried all sorts of fat. I tried, instead of having rendered cooked fat, I tried to have solid cold butter out of the fridge, or solid cold lard, or beef fat trimmings, raw bone marrow rather than cooked. And that improved it. So having cold fat rather than cooked fat did improve things, but it still wasn't enough. And then I've tried, okay, because of the bypass, maybe the food is shooting down my digestive tract too quick. Oh, and I've tried the beta HCl, and I've tried beta HCl, never improved the fat absorption. It improved the protein malabsorption because when I was eating meat, I would get what I thought was worms coming out of the other side. And then one of my private doctors said to me, that's not worms, that's undigested protein.
Wow.
So then when I started the beta HCl, that went away. I started digesting the protein better. But the fat was still a problem.
Guys, is to raise your stomach acid, for those who don't know. Continue.
But the fat was still a problem. So I thought maybe it's going through my digestive tract too fast. How can I slow it down? So I started, this was my idea, my invention. I started making egg waffles. And I would actually take, say, it would be 4 eggs, or it could be 2 eggs, depending on how many waffles you may want to make. 2 eggs, beef gelatin granules, and collagen powder. And I would make a mix, and it makes like a batter. And then you cook that in your waffle maker. And then I would add loads of butter on top of the hot waffles. And that was the only way that I could eat enough fat.
And I don't
Never
recommend
quite
you go
enough, because you still have a lot of protein in these waffles, you see.
too much. Yeah, no, don't do
Too
that, you guys.
much protein, exactly. So then I was eating too much protein, and that meant that I was never in deep ketosis. I was still in a better place than some other people, but I couldn't achieve deep ketosis because I was having like 140 grams of protein a day
Mm,
rather than 60. I was having at least double as much as I should have had. But it was stopping my diarrhea and I could keep up the fat, but the hunger was still there
mm.
because it was too much protein was making me hungry because my blood sugar was not suppressed. So I've come to a point that I've tried it all. I've tried the digestive enzymes, the TUDCA, the ox bile, the cold fat rather than hot fat, have eaten small portions throughout the day. That can be something that helps gastric bypass patients. So instead of having, forget the 1 meal a day thing when you've got a gastric bypass, please no, just have little portions throughout the day so that you can have 1 ounce of butter, then 2 hours later another ounce, and then another 2 hours later another ounce. My limits seem to
Everyone
be,
should do this. Everyone should do this, and people should not be getting gastric bypasses. But go ahead.
my limit used to be, yeah, about 1.5 ounces of fat at one sitting. But anyway, but I got to a point in the last 4 years, I was thinking, I wish I never had this surgery done. Yes, I know when I had it done, I was a different person. I didn't know what I know now. And at that time in my life, I thought that was the right decision for me. But actually, it was the worst decision, to be honest. But I can't be angry with myself because I didn't know what I know today.
Exactly.
I kept wishing I never had it done. And then the last 4 years, I actually started thinking, I wonder if I can have it reversed. I knew it could be reversed. It's not impossible to have it reversed. But I was scared about the prospect of having, so first of all, would anybody reverse it? Then if they reverse it, I'm scared of having another operation, more anesthetic, more surgical interventions. I mean, I was lucky so far to have hardly any repercussions from the bypass because a lot of people have problems from the bypass, the vast majority.
Like what?
And if anybody's watching this and they say, I'm happy with my bypass and I've got no problems, are you more than 6 years post gastric bypass? Because once you go past 6 years, the vast majority of people have got problems. And I was very lucky that I found out about Keto Carnival and I put in all the hard work to improve my health. And I had minor side effects and minor malabsorption issues. Some people end up on feeding tubes because they don't malabsorb anything. Everything goes through them. They end up with a tube and they have to survive on these chemicals and rubbish that the doctors put through the tube for them to stay alive.
It's horrible. Mm.
Some other people end up with chronic bile acid reflux, gastroparesis, which is your stomach losing the ability to do all the little contraptions to move, and to move the food along, and chronic low stomach acid so low that they have side effects that they have a horrible life every day. I was lucky I didn't have any of that. I had the fat malabsorption. And when I looked into reversing it, here in the UK, there is something that we call the NHS. If some people tells you that the NHS is free healthcare, it's not. Through my taxes, I pay about $800 or 850 pounds a month to the NHS. So it's
Wow.
not free healthcare.
Lot, you guys. $800 a month. Go
So
ahead.
to have the referral done, the reversal done under the NHS, I would have to be literally on death doors. I would have to prove on tests that I was severely malnourished, or I had a tube, or I had all these complications. And I've had complications that for me were bad enough to affect my future health. But compared to somebody else, I was fit as a fiddle. So they would never approve me. So I looked into it privately, and I was very lucky that I found a surgeon privately here in the UK with very good credentials and a very good pedigree, and he could see the reasons why I wanted it reversed. He could see I was educated enough to know about the risks, and in my particular case, he said he was very confident my malabsorption would go away. He said, yes, theoretically, you could put all your weight back on, but because of what you've done with your diet and your health, I don't think you'll be one of those people who puts the weight back on. So he agreed to do the reversal for me, and I had to take out a bank loan for this, which was a lot of money. It's for the next 8 years, I'm going to have a huge debt on my shoulders, but it's worth every penny. So this diagram you've put on the screen, the surgeon has done it for me. I put my glasses on for this. So it's similar to the other photo diagram that we've seen, but what he said to me, I'm going to measure your small bowel. So the small bowel would be the whole thing from the bottom of the stomach all the way down to your large bowel. And number two is the bypass, basically. So when they do the bypass, if we go back to the other diagram, we know that they cut the jejunum and they attach it up to the top part of your stomach. So number two would be from the top part of your stomach down to the rest of the jejunum. So he would count that, he would count all the rest of my bowel, and he said, an average person will have 6 meters of total small bowel, which is, what did you say, Steph? Was it
6 meters,
20 feet?
20 feet.
20 feet. He said, if you're the average person and you've got 20 feet of bowel, 6 meters, then what we'll do is number two, which in surgical terms, it's called the alimentary limb. We will cut it off and throw it away. And then we reopen your stomach and reconnect your small pouch to the rest of your stomach. So you've got your full stomach back. And then obviously your duodenum, number one, which is they call it the bile duct, I think they call it in surgical term. That one is already connected to number three, the rest of your small bowel. So we just take out number two and reopen up your stomach. If you've got slightly less than average bowel, like instead of 20 feet or 6 meters, if you've got 4 or 5 meters, which is, I don't know what it is in feet, but if you've got slightly less than the average person, then we will not throw away number two. You will end up with one more junction, one more anastomosis, but you will keep the whole of your bowel, because if we cut away too much of your bowel, then your malabsorption will not be resolved, because you need at least 4 meters of bowel. I think actually a short bowel syndrome, it's 3 meters or less. If you go and look at the technical side of it.
15 feet or less.
Yeah, if somebody has short bowel syndrome, it's because their bowel is only 15 feet or less.
Exactly.
So anyway, is when I've done the operation, he's gone in and he found out that I'm lucky and I've got longer than average bowel. Instead of 20 feet, I've got like 30 feet of bowel. So I've lost number two. But despite losing that bit of bowel, I still have slightly longer bowel than the average person. I've got 7.5 meters instead of 6 left. He said that my stomach had a very good blood supply. This is so important that when people have the gastric bypass, it's so important that you go to a good surgeon and things are done carefully. Because if something goes wrong and they cut off too much blood supply from your stomach not having enough blood supply can then end up having gastroparesis, which is lack of motility of the stomach muscles.
Yeah, things don't digest. Like Ozempic.
Yeah. Yes, lack of motility, that's right. And then also, if you already originally, even before the bypass, you had a slightly shorter bowel than average, let's say you had 4 meters instead of 5. So 4 meters is not enough to give you malabsorption, but then you're bypassing some of that 4 meters. And that's the people that end up on the feeding tube. I'm sure it must be. I don't have obviously the proof here, but it must be part. A lot of these people that end up with the feeding tube or with constant terrible malabsorption problems must have had slightly shorter bowel to begin with. And I was blessed. I always thought my bypass wasn't working well enough, but that was the reason why I had a really long bowel. So I absorbed a bit more than the average person.
Way a bit more.
So I've had my reversal on the 24th of October, pretty much 16 years on the dot after having the bypass. I was lucky that I've had an extremely good surgeon to do the original bypass and a very good surgeon to do the reversal. I was discharged from hospital 24 hours from the operation. I was on pureed food the day after the operation, soft food a week later, and then normal food a week after that. I made excellent recovery because I was already Keto Carnival before the operation. Having said that, I started trying to reintroduce some of the things like you advised, some avocado or half a cup of broccoli, but I wasn't absorbing them very well. They were giving me diarrhea. But I recovered really well. The way that I recovered was to drink bone broth and add collagen peptides to my bone broth to help heal it with the healing. I never had vitamin C supplements before, but somebody told me try to have 3 grams of vitamin C a day just to recover from the operation. And I said, okay, well, it's not going to kill me, is it? 3 grams of vitamin C a day for a few weeks. So I had that. Whether I would have done well without it or not, I don't know, but I've had it.
We also have to be careful.
Uh,
People will want to copy everything you did. So remember, everyone, this is
exactly.
individual. If
Exactly.
you say this recipe of everything you did, they're going to do the same. So be careful.
No,
Yeah, go ahead.
no. Yeah, everybody should always look into things thoroughly before they do anything and make their informed choices. And it's always a gamble because you don't know how you will react to something. You just don't know. I took the gamble. You know what? Vitamin C might be totally harmless, or it might not be. I know it can give you diarrhea if you take more than your body wants.
Mm-hmm.
So before the operation, I tried to test my body with it, and I was having 1 gram a day, and I was having no ill effects from it. And I thought, right, I'm gonna notch it up to 2 grams a day, and I didn't have any ill side effects. So I thought, fine, I can have this just to recover from the surgery, and then I'm gonna give it up because I eat liver regularly anyway. I have about uh, 13 ounces of liver a week, not all in one day, of course, but throughout the week, it would be about 13 ounces. So that's got vitamin C, that's got everything you need. It's got your copper, your zinc, your potassium. It's got everything you need. So
Vitamin D. And that's 2 ounces a day, by the
yeah,
way. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So now obviously I restarted again. The vitamin C has stopped. Yeah, and anyway, now I like to say that it's what, 3.5 weeks post reversal. I've had not one day of diarrhea, and I'm having 200 to 250 grams of fat every day. No diarrhea. It's brilliant. It's
Amazing.
brilliant. It's
I love
fantastic.
it. I know.
I'm having some avocado and some like half a cup of broccoli or cauliflower now and again, and yeah, no ill side. My tummy has not been bloated at all. It doesn't make a peep. No sound is coming. There's no gas coming out of me at
You
all
have
because I used to have a little bit of gas even on carnivore before. Not as much as when you eat a standard diet, but
you have good
uh,
stools.
yeah, well-formed stools and they sink to the bottom. they they hardly have a smell to it. You can barely smell anything, you know. Maybe for 2 minutes, if you're really careful, you can sniff a little bit of something, but it's gone within 1 minute. Yeah, I've already noticed that I had for years, I've had something here on my cheek. It was like some strange growth of pigmentation or bump that if I scratched it, it would even bleed. It's all gone. That's
Wow.
gone. My skin is already really, really much softer everywhere. Everybody who sees me in real life say I already look better now than I did 3 weeks ago. Yeah. It, it's just like I'm a totally different person.
Mm-hmm.
I have never known how good it feels to be healthy. Not until now, because when I was on Keto Carnival before the reversal of the bypass, I was very healthy. Don't get me wrong. I was healthier than anybody else at work because I was not overweight. I had more energy than them, less brain fog. But I still was not truly healthy. Now I'm never tired. I've got a spring in my step all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I get tired in the evening, coming 8:30 in the evening. I just want to go to bed, but I work a lot. I get up at 4:30
Works
every morning, every day.
a lot. Mm-hmm.
So coming 8:30, my body goes, I'm tired, and it's got good reasons to be tired
Mm.
by 8:30 in the evening when I've been up since 4:30 in the morning. But now I remember during the week, I was kind of hopping on the way to call one of the clients at work, and I was thinking, energy. I know what Stephanie means now when she goes energy. I thought I had it before, but this is like on a different level now.
And then, you know, I just got to cut in and say for a second, a lot of people do carnivore diets and they'll improve a lot. And so they'll tell the whole internet, oh, I lost 60 pounds or I lost 30 kilos or whatever. And it's amazing, but they don't really know what it's like to feel amazing, 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 amazing. And
Yes.
that's why feeling good is very subjective. It's like
And I
you felt
probably
a
feel even better in about 6 months, to be honest, but I
lot.
can already tell a huge difference.
100%. You're just a few 3 weeks out.
And
And
also, lately, I've looked and thought about more and more and more about this balance that you talk about, the potassium balance, the true need of potassium. And I think, yes, maybe you can get some long-term carnivores that don't really have any ill effects. But I
that's
think these are
super
the
possible.
people, that will eat not too much protein, loads of fat, and then they eat the organ meats and the tendons and the collagen, so that they do
Yeah.
like meaty bone broths and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Or just like
And
oxtail and things like this that have a lot
they
of fat.
probably don't add any salt to their diet. So because you can get some potassium from liver and meat and bone broth, but obviously if you have lots of salt, then that balance is disrupted. Um, so maybe some people that eat that way with the meaty bone broth and the organ meats and not too much
I don't think
protein
so.
can maintain a better potassium balance. But
I don't think so because a lot of people who do carnivore have histamine, and bone broth is loaded in histamine. So the
yes,
percentage of people that can do a bone broth and not be affected by the glutamate in it, um,
mm,
and do fare really well on carnivore over the long term, I highly doubt it. You'd have to eat tendons, oxtail, things like that, or that have a lot of protein fibers in them.
yeah.
Uh, but I don't think
So
they're.
now I've noticed that this potassium thing, it's, I mean, if you look into the symptoms of low potassium, you will know very well what they're like. But obviously you can heart rhythm of irregularities. Yes, you can get constipation. Help me out, Stephanie, because I forgot all the symptoms. You can get muscle fatigue, muscle
Muscle
cramps,
fatigue, blood sugar can go out
digestive
of control,
issues.
heart palpitations, nausea, digestive issues, tired.
Yeah, and I don't know how much the bypass has made it more difficult for me to have the correct balance of potassium in my body. But yeah, I'm sure that it's played its role. I'm actually thinking about my husband. My husband, he probably has low potassium. I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to
A
convince
lot
him
of
to eat more
people
avocados now.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people do. Because you guys are getting Spanish avocados, they're small. I'm getting Mexican avocados, they're like ginormous.
Uh, Yeah, so who knows before the reversal of the bypass, what else I wasn't absorbing very well in micronutrients.
So would you recommend things like Ozempic medications or
Oh, no,
bypass?
never. I would not recommend any medication for anything. So some people will have to go on medication. If your life is at stake and you're at risk of seriously damaging your life or dying, go on medication. So if you've got raging, dangerous blood pressure or some heart condition that you're going to die, take the medication, work on fixing your health and titrating down and off the medication in time.
Like the thyroid medication?
Yeah, any medication. There is no medication, no medication that is good for you in the long term. No way. If you're on it, you've got to fix your health and come off it eventually. And every
Absolutely.
medication will have different ways of coming off them. We know that some of them can be very hard to come off them, especially if they're like, antidepressants, or one has to be very, very careful to come off certain things. For some medications, it can take even 3 years to come off it because you've got to micro dosage lower and lower.
Like benzos. Yeah.
Yeah. No medication is safe. And Ozempic, yes, we know that it can lead to gastroparesis,
A
lack of
bunch of
stomach motility.
malabsorption, cancer, thyroid issue, everything.
And then let's face it, I mean, what are you doing? You're just sticking a plaster on the problem so that you can carry on eating your cookies on a Sunday. F the cookies, that's what I say. F the cookies, you know?
Yeah. So look,
F the
y'all,
cookies.
the thing about Joe is she had to make that decision to
Yeah.
go and get a loan to pay for this reversal of the gastric bypass.
To
And
put it into perspective, the loan was like buying a new car, basically. Not an expensive car, but a regular car. Yeah.
but the whole thing is that it still puts pressure on you to make this decision. It's always scary to go into surgery again, especially for your digestive system. You're working with a doctor and putting all of your life into his hands while trying to redo this procedure that really should not be offered to people, as a measure to
Yeah.
deal with, uh, to be overweight. But the whole point is that you took a big risk and it paid off 20,000 fold. It was worth every penny. And now you're of the belief of not taking shortcuts because you're going to get
Yeah.
down the line. You get hit with
I
something.
really don't think weight loss surgery is the right answer for anybody. Nobody should have weight loss surgery. Nobody. The people who are really in a desperate situation, I'm talking people that are so overweight that they can't even get off their chair or wash themselves. Obviously, my heart really aches for somebody that's in that position. They just need a lot of emotional support and guidance, somebody to hold their hand. And the first step that they have to do is just to eat normal food. Forget about even cutting out the sugar to begin with. The first step you have to do is just eat real food, one ingredient food.
Yeah. One
Have the
ingredient.
fruit at the beginning. It doesn't matter. Have your fruit, have your vegetable, your salad, your meat, your fish, and just get used to not having any processed foods. Then your work start by stopping the added sugar. Then when you can do that and you don't go back, then you start cutting down the fruit, little by little. It's hard. That's why emotional support is a big one. You need loads of it.
You
If
do.
somebody has a friend or a family member that believe in this and they can help them every day, either
But if
by helping them cooking healthy meals or
but if you don't have that, you got to suck it
it's
up, bud.
hard. It's hard.
Because
It's hard.
yeah, I'm here by myself. So if I were in the same situation, there's nothing I could do except
Oh
keep going
God, yes.
forward. So
Yes.
some people have that support. Like I wouldn't have that support. So a
Yeah.
lot of people don't. Some people do. But if you have the support, utilize that.
If somebody wants to take the gamble of Ozempic, all I can say is if you make the decision to take that gamble and use it, you've got to work on your health as well. And you still have to do this thing about eliminating processed foods, seed oils, toxic stuff from your life. So then you can titrate off the Ozempic. I would never say go on Ozempic.
Mm-mm.
But if for some reason you're so in a situation that you felt that you couldn't do anything else but to do it, fine, you know, still
You
work
know,
on those points because,
I'm an extremist. I'm like, no, don't touch that stuff. Mm-mm. There's always a solution. Only if you've got, like you said, a disorder, blood disorder, if you have to take antibiotics because you've got sepsis, if you're having your thyroid that's about to explode. But other than
yeah.
that, if it's fixable on your own,
I don't take any medication now. I haven't taken any medications in 4 years. In January, I did restart some thyroid glandulars. So these are over-the-counter, non-FDA approved
these are beef glandular.
dried beef thyroid in a
Yeah.
capsule. I
Mm.
started those in January, but my thyroid is getting better. I know by the symptoms because I lived with it for so many
But
years,
you're,
but I
you're
can
also
also see it in my
taking,
blood tests.
you're taking CMOS gel and you're eating liver. So you're doing other measures for the thyroid other than just going on
Yes, to be
side of
honest, I've had for the last 4 years, I've had liver every week, like I say, like 13 ounces a week of liver. So that has given me the selenium for the thyroid and the copper and everything else.
everything.
But if you don't eat regular liver, it's even more important to maybe get, the CMOS, like you say. Yeah. And
Awesome.
yeah, my thyroid is getting even better now. It's been fine for 4 years of the medication, but not optimal. But it's getting more and more optimal. So I will titrate down and stop these thyroid glandulars soon. I just need my body to suck up all the goodness from the food, just for like maybe 3 to 6 months. Let my body come back to life now that I can absorb things again. Um, I don't think I will get SIBO ever again. I was constantly getting SIBO on and off, even on Keto Carnival with the bypass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A hot mess to try to fix your health with these shortcut suggestions that we get from the establishment that just
Mm.
wreck your health. So yeah, you're getting better and better from one
Yes.
consultation to another. And when you told me that you had the bypass, I was like, "What? You did it? Oh my god!" Like
Yes.
people
So
have to tell the story.
I consulted with you like I consulted with other people. Like I said, I consulted with some other famous people on and off the internet. And each one of you has given me loads of knowledge. And I got something important and valuable from every single person I consulted with. I'm not one of
Awesome.
these dogmatic, like channel vision approaches, like this is it, that's the way for everybody. We're all so different. Like you say, we all live in different environments. For example, I work all day long in a place where there's no windows, constant wireless 5G and LED screens in front of my eyes. Somebody else might be doing a manual work out in the fields all day in the sun, and that's better because they get to move their body. I get to sit all day in a dark room in front of a computer screen. So we will all react differently, either because we're made it, we got different lengths of bowel. There you are. There's something I've learned lately.
We
Yeah.
do. So I want to say
So
thank you for
no,
telling me
thank
story.
you for being so passionate about sharing things that you've learned on your journey.
I appreciate it. I mean, I really feel not everybody's having a bypass. So, like, this video is going to really resonate well with people who have had a gastric bypass, who are having
Or those that
complications
are considering it. Yeah.
or considering it and having issues and wanting to hear, like, your story of, like, going on it, constant diarrhea, feeling terrible all the time, and then reversing it with diet. Obviously, you changed your diet prior, then you did a reversal surgery, but also just the understanding of how the digestive system works, how
Mm.
important it is to have the duodenum, have food go through it. Like, she just bypassed a whole section of her digestive system,
Mm.
and this can happen with Ozempic drugs, not where you bypass things, but when motility, when things start slowing down and
Mm.
you can't absorb your nutrients, you're not
And
living.
your hormonal response will be different as well because your body secretes hormones when food hits the duodenum. You're changing all your hormonal orchestration. So Yeah. So you're getting different signals from your body. Your body is kind of like confused.
It is.
Literally.
And so for those who've got chronic constipation, IBS, loose stool, who are on medications, SSRIs, thyroid medication, stress, drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, don't get enough sleep, and just thinking you can do like a carnivore diet and everything's going to be fixed. It doesn't work that way. And if you've had a bypass, and what Joe was saying before is that in the US, they're not exactly promoting the reversal of it. So it's
No,
hard.
apparently a lot of people in America struggle to get a reversal done. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of surgeons don't want to go anywhere near a reversal. That's what I hear.
But you did. And, I'm just really happy that things are going well, seeing you the second time around. And I just can't wait to hear everything you're just living your life at this point. There's no more concern about what you eat and how it's going to affect you. And if you have to run to a toilet and, if
I
you
still watch your videos and I still keep in touch with you because we're constantly learning. I'm learning all the time. And, like I said, I'll get a little bit of information from you, say, oh, I never heard that one before. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, she's right. Oh, I'm not sure if she's right. And then I'll hear something else from somebody else. And it's great. I mean, being healthy, it has to be a full-term, lifelong commitment.
It does. It really
And
does.
at the end of the day, you are the only one that's with yourself for the rest of your life. You can love your animals, you can love your husband, your children. You don't know what life is like. They may not be here tomorrow. I hope they will be, but they may not be. You are there all the time, right? So you've got to look after yourself first, get yourself healthy and happy. If you're healthy and happy, that will immediately transpire onto everybody else around you. Everybody else around you will start to get this halo effect. They will start being happier and healthier as well.
I love that. The
Isn't
halo.
it?
Yeah, of course. Like I work so hard to be healthy, and people around me are like, I don't know how you can eat like that. I'm like, nothing can feel better than being healthy. Nothing. It's like
Yeah.
clear. Like you can just live then. You don't have to fuss about all these things anymore. It's a good thing, and it affects everyone else.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Joe. This was awesome. Awesome. I'm going to put you into the green room so I can say goodbye because we actually start with a consultation. I was like, can I talk to you on camera? So thank you so much. Appreciate the wisdom and the knowledge. I think a lot of people are going to benefit from this.
And thank you again for sending out the message every day to everybody. That's very important. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'll see you in a sec. But thank you so much, and I'll see you in a sec.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. So that was amazing. When I was speaking to Joe, just during the consultation, I was so excited. There are people that actually hear the message. She's very positive, very, very positive person. She took her health. She took charge of her health. A lot of you guys, I always say 5% of people actually benefit from the results of their hard work, whether it be low carb, high fat, keto, or carnivore, because so many people give up too quick. And Joe's been going through this for years, never gave up, and finally is seeing the light of the fruits of her labor of hard work. So we really, really appreciate her telling her story because a lot of people feel uncomfortable with doing that online. And I ask a lot of clients, and they're like, I don't know. But this time she was like, yes. And I was like, yay, people are going to benefit from this. So if you guys want to learn more, go to stephanieperson.com, book a consultation if you feel like you need one-on-one help. I also run a course through my website, or you can sign up through my site rather, stephanieperson.com. My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. My Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. And I'm officially out. Peace. Now I'm going to talk to Joe. Bye, guys. And thank you, Joe.